Whiskey, Wine, Wellness, Fitness, Business podcast. We're going to drink a little bit while we talk some fitness business. We're going to decide, Mr. Beaudoin's going to decide if we're going to go whiskey or wine today for this one.
Whiskey.
Maybe, this is just potential bias because of the recent Conor McGregor news.
Nope. I'm going to choose whiskey every time.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And
whiskey it is.
And because it's Conor McGregor, of course.
This is going to be a long podcast then if we're going to go whiskey. Okay. All right. So talk about your fitness experience then. Let us know. What makes you an authority to speak on fitness business, sir?
Well, I'm an authority because I've covered all areas of it, I feel like, right? Okay. But my question is what your definition of success in the fitness business is. Because you can judge success by, you can go two ways here, right?
Yeah, not necessarily success, just like you like it.
Well, you can go numbers, sales, money made.
Yep.
Or you can go to the heart, clients helped,
I guess
results.
It's interesting because you never actually, and I thought that was different when I left LA too, was you never actually got like the I train people on a daily basis experience either. So that's different. That's a different type of fitness.
I didn't start as a trainer.
Well, you never really had to train a client on a regular, ongoing basis, but you were involved in like the business building of every individual trainer. And so it's just a unique view.
Yeah, and so my aspect comes from more of a number side of things.
Right.
And that's what I mean by I wasn't a trainer. I mean, I came in sales. It wasn't because I came
qualified to do so, but
yeah, I mean, well, in my entire life, played sports.
Yep.
Been training my entire life for this without knowing it. Yep. I competed at a very high level on all sports.
I've heard all your stories.
You've also been there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Through a few games.
Yep. Besides pick up basketball,
I'm undefeated.
Sure.
I'm undefeated. No, so fitness, the fitness thing for me, it was always a numbers game, but there's a genuine passion for me because I have a true connection with people, and it's something that I'm not a desk kind of guy. Like, I like to be moving. I like to be talking.
Yep.
And, in a good sense of the word, I'm like a chameleon. I mean, I can kind of just mold to whoever I am around, and I can find their vibe, and it's fun to me. It's something I love to do. And that translated into business when it comes to fitness, because people do business with people they like.
Yeah.
And
maybe even more so in fitness too.
Absolutely.
Because it's like a spending time together thing too.
They're walls. Well, they come in walls up. You know what I mean? Everybody does.
Is it the tattoos?
It's not the tattoos. It might be the tattoo. Well, I did have them then too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always had them, I guess.
Yep.
Throughout this whole professional journey, actually.
Yep.
But I like that.
Yeah. For sure.
No, it wasn't that. I think it's that. I'm good at pumping you up even if you're bad. But I can find the good spots. Like, I can find, like, maybe you had something good on your form here. Maybe your attitude was good here.
Yep.
And I'll take that son of a bitch and I will go with it.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, you're happy and you don't know why.
Yep.
And then, you know what I'm saying? So, like, then the walls come down. But you have to, a step back from that is, before you even get to that point where you can start clapping and getting somebody going, is you have to get them to actually kind of open up, I think, is a key factor in getting sales in fitness.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, it's the dirty secret of everybody that wants to go into fitness. Like, that's not, I don't know what percentage I would say, but I mean, a high percentage don't stay in fitness because of the sales. And not that sales is a bad thing, but just it's viewed as such a bad thing.
The majority go in as trainers trying to help people, but they don't understand. Well, you have to have. So again, in my position, and so everybody can understand, I sold a lot of personal training, but I had a team of phenomenal trainers.
Yeah.
I was not the trainer.
Yeah.
I was qualified with certifications.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, I technically am a trainer.
On paper, yeah.
On paper.
Qualified to do so.
But I had way better people than me.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was easy to sell. I had portfolio.
Yeah.
Before people were doing portfolios.
Yeah.
And you could go through and see their college, find common ground. Oh, they went to IU. Oh, they went to Butler.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to Butler.
Especially if they've been a member of that club for a while and seen them train already.
And never knew.
Yeah.
And then they see something.
Well, they think recognizable face too.
Something as easy as, well, you have to get the interaction, the first hello, the handshake, the hi, you have to get them in first.
Yep.
But you have to do it in a non-invasive way to where they don't feel attacked. Because again, it's the walls up thing.
Yep.
People show up with their walls up. And
why do you think that
when somebody says, hey, at the gym, a lot of people don't know if you're saying hey in a bad way or a good way, they get nervous immediately.
Why do you think their walls are up? Why do you think generally?
Self-esteem. Self-esteem, ego, even if you look good or you don't. Some people look good and don't. I see people that come in out of shape that have no problem waltzing their way right through that gym.
Yeah.
And then I see people that are in great shape that are constantly, every little sound they hear.
Well,
oftentimes,
and I'll say that, not that I'm in like the most tip-top shape of anybody, but like the people that are in the best shape
I'd say the top percentile.
Do that typically though because they have a level of insecurity. Like that's
or awareness.
Yeah, I don't know. Like there's
More
always
so
there's some level of vanity
Yeah.
to try and have abs 52 weeks a year. Like it's not even like it's not relevant most of the time, especially in the winter.
So I guess to circle back to the question though is why they walk in with their walls up. You got to think about the majority here though, right? It goes back to big numbers. The majority of people that walk to the gym aren't the ones who already have abs.
No.
Right?
Right.
So they have the walls up because there are the others that do have the abs, or maybe it's their first time. Maybe they're not comfortable. Maybe it's a new gym. There's a lot of different things. But they just want to know people. People are tribal. They just want to know somebody. The best feeling in the world is being able to walk in somewhere and be like, hey, Jeff, gas station, marathon. Hey, Habib, my man.
Yep.
Good to see you. Lindsay,
There you go.
how's it going today?
Yep.
That's the best thing. So if you can start there,
Yep.
then it's easy to bring them in. And then if you have a good product, whether it's you doing the training or in my case, I had trainers,
Sure.
then it becomes a little easier to just show them, what we are able to do. And then from there, you can change people's lives.
Yeah.
And make money.
It's relevant.
And then let them know you're making, see, that was the thing too. Let them know you're making money too. It wasn't like I hit it. It's like, listen, I want you to help. Let's help each other here.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's like a dirty secret of sales too, is that everybody acts like they're going to trick and spring something on somebody. It's just and it's not like the end. The only reason it's so important is because people try to act like it's not important. Really, it's not that important if you just have a real conversation with somebody. It's not complicated, but people are so worked up that they're like, think themselves out of it and just like try and do stuff that's so tricky.
Well, think about, when you think about sales,
Yep.
take like for our age group, you take what the last 20 years you've perceived salespeople to be. Think about used car salesman comes to mind.
Yep.
Come down today to Bob's Auto Shop and you can, right?
Yeah.
If you get down to that guy.
Yep. Nobody wants to deal with that guy.
Nobody wants to deal with Bob.
Ever.
And then there's you go on vacation. I don't know if you experienced this, but I did through my in-laws, through vacationing with them. But when you get a timeshare, every time you go to your timeshare vacation, the first thing you have to do is you have to sit down for this 1 to 2 hour guaranteed sales pitch meeting. And you go in saying, I'm not buying. They're like, listen, we know.
Yeah.
But like they have that time carved out. So like you pair the used car salesman, the timeshare people guy, like that's what the last 20 years idea of sales have been. But it's transitioning like tattoos are, right? People used to really start to they didn't like people with tattoos. Nowadays, a lot more people have tattoos.
Corporate.
It's transitioning.
Corporate doesn't.
But it's transitioning in the favor of more open-minded about it.
Yep.
Same thing about the whole the sales.
I think it's actually an advantage for you in a lot of ways, honestly.
Can be.
It's a differentiator.
Can be.
You're not going to reference you and people aren't going to remember who that person was. Like a lot of people you look at and you'd be like, who's that person? You'd be like, I don't know, dark hair, whatever.
Yeah.
Like they'd be like tattoos, and they'd be like, oh yeah, him. Like they would know that. That goes, I guess, good and bad though.
Yeah, it goes good and bad.
Yeah.
But it's becoming less. What I'm saying is becoming less bad.
Yeah, there's less of
than
a
it has
stigma against people with tattoos.
There was a
for sure.
shtick for a long time. If you were a tattooed person, you're a hoodlum, or
drug
if you're a
addict,
sales guy,
yeah.
you're a sleazeball.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's the correlation there.
Yep. They're just trying to steal money from you.
Exactly.
Somehow.
But, there's something to be able to, there's something to talk about is being somebody to be able to meet that head on also. Like if you just address that immediately, like before you get a bad idea and I overwhelm you with kindness, I'm the one who opened the door, said yes ma'am, yes sir, and helped your wife to your car. And then you see my tattoos, you're like, bullshit.
Yep. Yep.
So like there's that side of things. But you have to be aware that people still do judge. And especially in today's climate, today's society, it's obviously a topic, but
sure, tattoos
are definitely still in the crosshairs of some.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that on your mind.
You have a tough time, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the most mainstream company. Like you probably have a hard time being in a short sleeve shirt and be, Microsoft CEO, maybe.
Well, see that like, but things are changing
Jack
so
Dorsey,
much.
Jack Dorsey, I think. Jack Dorsey?
Yeah.
I think he has sleeves. He just always wears long sleeves, so you don't really
guys
know.
like
Could be wrong
Dana
on that.
White.
Don't quote me on that.
UFC, Dana White. Guys that are like...
Does he have sleeves?
No, he doesn't have sleeves, but he's a guy that's changing the mold just because how he cusses at reporters and like doesn't give a... doesn't care.
Yep.
And then you got Dan Bilzerians of the world, and then you've got... So it's like tattoos are like people are becoming more, And
in fitness too, Fitness, it would help. I don't know if it would help, but it would definitely not hurt your brand.
If you see finish line ads right now, the guys that are on the finish line ads, the girls that are on the finish line ads are sleeved out.
Really?
They have tattoos. Oh yeah, 100%.
How much time you spending on the finish line ad?
Listen, Instagram, you're scrolling, the ads pop up.
Got it.
Not to mention our great friend Sammy Atari. Shout out Sammy Atari.
He'll see this. He'll see
He's
this
a model for Finish Line.
He was doing Nike, wasn't he?
Finish Line is who he models for. But my man is all tatted up. But again, I mean, it's the look now. Now they have to be tasteful enough to pass, right? Like you can't
if you have sleeve, it blends, so people don't necessarily focus on
100%
one thing. They're like,
but so they have to be at least somewhat.
Yep.
Yep.
So what do you see? So for you, obviously. Business building focus. Mm-hmm. What do you see for the average individual that has success in fitness versus the ones that don't? Because obviously we talked about selling as being important for sure. It's not the only thing though, because if you, a lot of years was duration agreements. That's not necessarily industry norm anymore. It's kind of pay as you go. Mm-hmm. So it leans a little bit more, in my experience, to client retention because they can buy, a month worth of sessions, and it's if you fail, you don't get that client doesn't stay, right?
Sure.
And rightfully so. Like if it's a free market,
as it should be,
real business,
as it should be.
What other thing would you pay for? Like the LA Fitness model. I don't know if I was going to say LA Fitness on this, but the LA Fitness model is you pay for almost always a 12-month agreement,
time commitment.
Like I can't think of any other business that. Like a cell phone, you sign up for a contract, but another business that you sign up for and you largely don't know for sure what you're getting. You're not 100% sure. As well as it could be explained.
I can back this business model.
The turnover. No, yeah, and I don't think it's bad. I'm trying to think of something else that you would do that for. Like, what would you do that for? Like a tanning bed agreement maybe is like locked in?
Well, here's why you do it, to understand who else you do it with.
Who?
Here's why for the client. Here's why you do it.
Yep.
Excuse me. You do it for the client because, say opposite model, I sign up for training with you. Well, they're dependent 100% on you.
Yep.
LA Fitness model is you sign up for 12 months. We have an array. We have a complete lineup of trainers that no matter if someone leaves, someone goes, someone's style you like different, you can cycle through, you can always have someone available.
Yep.
So when thinking about the client, that does make more sense if you've got, say, realistically 4 to 8 different trainers.
Yep.
You're going to have somebody there to service that client versus them being completely dependent. I mean, because, again, it takes the top echelon of trainers to develop those relationships to where they have the real one-on-one relationships.
Sure.
And
you'd
it
be
takes
very
a long
lucky
time.
to get with one of those, too.
Right. So when those things
that's maybe,
take
what do you say? Maybe
time,
like the top 25% of the field is like a solid, like, because let's be honest, with fitness as an overall industry, and I think anybody that works in fitness would agree that it's watered down at the bottom. Like, for such a position, it becomes so undervalued because, like, you're on tier with, like, some sort of, like, people are entrusting you to not cure disease by any means, but like.
No. But damn near, you're their doctor, you're their therapist,
and you can go get exactly. But and you can go get certified to do that professionally on a weekend for less than $500.
Right.
And that's crazy, and that deters a lot of people that are good at it.
What deters more people from coming back is when the person who sells it says, I've got this great trainer, he's going to be your therapist, he's going to be your doctor, and then he is for 3 months, and then he quits and leaves because he didn't get paid well.
It's a bad
promise. And then I'm sitting there with that same customer saying, well, don't worry, we've got 7 more, but she loves you.
Yep.
But see, again, that means you were an upper echelon trainer.
Yeah.
But see, that's where the conflict, lies.
I also think that there's a value in, and I'm only playing devil's advocate because it makes for better conversation, I guess. But there's an advantage to continuity over a long period of time too, and that bounce from one to the other, while it operationally and fulfilling your contractual agreement is great, and they will keep them consistent, which is just as important as anything in fitness. But changing trainer, like if you say you signed up for a year and you had 3 trainers, you probably had a week or 2 in between where you transitioned, unless you had somebody that was really good managing things and got it, transferred. It's shocking at how difficult that becomes, like to transfer a client because people are lazy. But like you might miss 2 weeks in between, and like you would never, like, a month to get acquainted and like know how to challenge them, and then it's so difficult.
Here's the wedge in between that though. If you're running a proper program, you should be so tight knit between everybody that any client that comes in and trains with, you could say trainer X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
They could train with trainer X
up front.
Train with trainer X. But because everybody's all together, they may start to vibe with trainer Y or trainer Z, or they're meeting and crossing. They're right next to trainer Z training his client, and they say, "Hey, I want to try that trainer." If you're running the right kind of program, everybody's in it together, and everybody knows that everyone's an option. See, that's what made me successful. It wasn't like I was pinning them all against each other. It was like I got a bunch of badass trainers. We cover everything, and you may want to switch, and I would pitch it that way. You should switch. Why would you just stay with one? Honestly, if you want to get, people have their strengths.
Yeah.
If you want to go, you want to go with the Viking over here. You trying to deadlift? Cool, bro.
I think so. That would be maybe another feather.
And then you go with the college cheerleader trainer that we have with the 16-year-old girl who's in gymnastics, and it's a better fit. You see what I mean? Like,
I do.
It's too easy.
It's too easy.
If you have the right trainers.
Yeah, no, and I think I was going to say that would be another advantage. It depends so much on who. It puts so much onus on whoever the department manager is or the director, whatever the job title is, to be great, because you have to acquire and distribute, but also tell them how to manage things,
and keep them
right. So like it's a different, where you said, like, let's say, like you said, X, Y, and Z trainer. If you meet somebody, you set them up, and you just give them to X trainer.
Yeah.
Like that is like a very straightforward, and what on paper would be considered like you did a great job. Like you got a new client to come in,
but there's a handoff that's included there. Though. That's
exactly
important.
So, but no one will take that approach on their own unless directed by somebody. Nobody would
Unless
take
they're great.
That's an extra step to do. Right.
The handoff you're talking about, right?
Exactly. So it takes a lot of extra work to go introduce to X, Y, and Z and schedule appropriately because things are tight. I know you're itching so hard, but
so important though.
That's an extra step that most people won't take, and if that is not systemic for everybody, it's not going to work. And then you do create people. I need more people. Why is that person's schedule more full? And that's tough because it's not fun. It's not fun. I mean, you probably didn't have that a ton, luckily. You probably did maybe in other districts, but maybe Kentucky or whatever. But like where trainers were like, I'm not full. Why? And that's tough to answer for a lot of people.
I'm going to answer from the top down for you right now.
Okay. I'm ready
simple.
for this.
This is simple.
Okay.
It is systemic. It does start at the top. Mm-hmm. Okay. If the person is genuine about it. Okay. So what I mean by that, if the person that makes a sale based on their trainers that they have available, not themselves, was the context of our conversation, and they sell a person on a training agreement 2 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever it is, that person would show up with trainer X. Maybe they know what they look like. Maybe they don't. Maybe, are they standing at the front waiting for them? When you just spent all the emotional time, the energy into a person for an hour or whatever your assessment time was with them, and you sold them something that they work hard to fund, to pay for.
Yeah.
Based on a lifestyle change, all these things, and based on these trainers, and you're not the person introducing them to that person by hand, you're not running any kind of sales business properly. It's the worst possible look you could ever have.
Even if you don't say customer service, any type of service, like I said, not even just sales business, but a customer service business.
It happens all the time. Somebody sold me. Oh, I'm here for somebody. And then somebody else is in the middle trying to find somebody's
at the front desk calling and trying to figure out what's going on.
It's a disaster.
It's bad.
It's a disaster.
Because if you think about it, like so much emphasis is put on like how much new acquisition are you trying to do? I guess in big box model, like that's very different.
How many times have you seen me run from the middle of the floor to go grab a hug from somebody who walks in a club? My club or not?
Yeah.
In person, how many times? Plenty of times. You've seen me run and get hugs.
10,
That's the kind of level of relationship you build immediately. And then, again, it's most critical the first time they come into the club to meet that trainer.
That was my point, was
to mesh them together.
How many new do you get? How many new people? Maybe not even look at it as business. Like how many like new important people do you bring into your life on a regular basis? And I think we would definitely include by default somebody that pays us money to help them get in shape as somebody that's important. I think we can agree on that, right? How many times do you add somebody that's important? Like how often? Like not more than once a day.
If you're lucky, once a day.
And
but
so
that would be a very busy day.
day.
I mean, once a week, twice a week, you're lucky.
So let's say twice even. Say 2. If you had to do that once in the morning and once in the evening, like just for that one person, even if you blocked out the whole hour, I'm going to come in sometime between 9 and 10, whatever. And you're like, but this is the person that just started and they're vulnerable and they just decided to pay you money and they might be overwhelmed.
More than an hour.
And they might need more than that. But like, what is possibly more important than that hour?
Nothing.
On your day. There's no way. For a business,
it comes down to a quality thing too. Again, but this kind of business is the type of business that word of mouth is huge, and you can talk any kind of game, very much so.
Yeah, rightfully so.
The most success I've ever had is not because of the trainers that have like whipped up bodybuilders. It's the trainers that everybody loves. I have trainers who are great trainers, but everyone loves them. Yep. Their character, their personality.
Yep.
Like they want to come back to the gym. Oh, did you talk to your trainer? Oh, trainer X today? He got so mad at me. I had a key lime pie this weekend. I've been doing so good with him. We've been on, and she's on this whole story. But it's great, right? Because you want that between your trainers, but that's hard to find.
Yeah.
But you need to have that, right? You need to have trainers that can make people want to be with them, because again, there are people who know the numbers of training, reps and repetition and calories and deficit this, and it's very
complicated,
acidic. Like, but you need people that can like lead them to the water, find like creative ways to do it, because then they tell all their friends.
Yep.
Right, and then they say you should go talk to Ty at the fitness club over there. He's great. He's got this, and the next thing you know, you've got 3 people walking in on you.
Yep.
And then it just starts to build.
So what do you think? People that are successful, like top 3, these are the qualities you would see somebody that like wins, and like not in a way that's like. Again, you're talking about business. You're talking about business, and it sounds like a dirty way to look at it. But like
sales and wellness of the clients.
Do you connect with enough people? Like, are you helping enough people? So, in the purest sense of like, level of happiness, hours worked, income that they make from their job, what do you see as the 3 most important qualities for anybody that works in fitness to have, and just be as broad as you want to be?
One is humility.
Okay.
Because unless you can get down on someone's level, whatever level they might be at emotionally, you're not ever going to really be able to get them to trust you. So what I mean by humility, like an example of that would be somebody comes in, say they're obviously overweight or something, right?
Yep.
And they're sitting in front of a guy who sells this in shape, and I'm not talking about myself, more like a guy like you, like an in-shape guy, you know what I mean? And you're like, you could be just like that. And they've never been in shape in their life.
Yep.
And you're sitting here trying to pound into the ground.
They do IT.
And they do IT. Yeah. They've never been in a gym.
Nothing wrong with IT.
They're like, oh,
nothing wrong with
they're
IT.
like, oh, shit. Like,
it's not the most physical labor that one could do.
And so they're like, well, this is intimidating. This reminds me of this guy who maybe bullied me or this and that.
Especially in a box gym, because like that is the $30 a month membership, and there's a lot of dudes in there that,
100%.
that are just
100%. Well, as soon as you walk in, you see
prepping for a show.
As soon as you walk in, you see it. Because if it's a popular gym, there's going to be a bunch of people. So the people who walk in there for these first times, they see all these other people. They know what it's like.
It's real.
Immediately.
Yeah.
So what I mean by humility is to be able to, and I do mean this is number 1. It really is number 1. No matter what you look like, no matter what your comparison is about who you're sitting across from the table from, but if you can, and it comes down to finding common ground, but if you can find a time where you can relate somehow to where you were struggling somehow and you know you needed something to like kind of push you to the next level, say, hey, look, you know, I used to get, like for me, the one I use all the time, which is true, is like in middle school, I used to get picked on because I was super small in middle school. You know what I mean? So, and I wasn't overweight, right? Like maybe I
doubt that,
but I was real small. Yeah. So then I wanted to, you know, and I try and let them know, like, hey, look, I was vulnerable too for a long time.
Have you used that story before?
Absolutely. And it took me playing sports, and I played at big schools. When I was in Virginia Beach, you know, those schools were very big. There's a lot of competition.
Football schools.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you find out quickly where you are on the totem pole.
Yep.
And so you either find somebody to keep pushing you through that little stage, or you don't, and you quit out. And
so you think finding common ground
100%
is number 1?
100%.
Okay.
It's like and again, I'm not talking about it like, hey, look at me, I'm looking good, but like I've not always been, maybe I'm where they want to be, you know?
Yep.
Which I'm not, you know, again, you're where I want to be, but maybe they're sitting looking at me like, I wish I had his body.
This is a spectrum, because when people wear shirts or clothes out in the world, they largely look the same. There's like,
but it makes sense what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
They're looking at you, so you want to let them know, like.
Well, it's also it's like the most powerful thing when you're meeting with a client. A lot of times is like a testimonial, and not that you need to be like 6-pack abs, whatever, but like you are the best testimonial. Like you figured out something that works, at least something. Like that's not necessarily always translatable, and the best trainers aren't always in the best shape. Honestly, I don't think it's usually not the case at all.
Depends if you're selling training or you're selling yourself as the trainer also. I mean, that's a very different thing.
For sure. But you're not it's relevant to be at least in above average shape. Above average is probably minimum in my experience.
It's like you got to have some product knowledge, right? Like if you know what you're doing, you should at least be in
for sure,
100%.
For sure, like that's I don't know every analogy ever, like dermatologist with bad skin or like whatever, you know, whatever analogy. Like you're not
car salesman doesn't know how to change oil.
You shouldn't probably work with that person because there's it's either a discipline issue or a knowledge issue, and you don't want any part of either one of those. Right. All right. So you've got being humble.
So humility is number one.
Humility. Yep. What do you got, Sue?
Number two, to be successful in this is, I would say, follow through. Follow up / follow through. The majority of the time, it's not even about what you're saying. It's about how often you say it to somebody to get them in a habit or to keep them in a habit.
Okay.
Right? So, and again, I speak in the sense of having trainers, but what I mean by follow through is, and a lot of times this happens, you sell somebody a training package, they're excited, or it's January 1st, hopefully they join up the gym or whatever it is.
If you've done your job right, they should be excited. A lot of times not the case. But.
And then you even introduce them to the trainer. They love their trainer.
Yep.
They schedule their first 6 sessions.
Feels good to have things on the schedule.
And then they don't show up. Right?
I hate that.
So it's like a week later, they spent $400 a month on training.
Those are things
they
that
scheduled 4 sessions.
Sleep over those.
They met you. Y'all hugged.
Yep.
Everything was great.
Yep.
We didn't overdo it. They're not injured from maybe we overdid it. Nothing. They don't show up. But that's on you because you didn't follow through the correct way. When you sell somebody something, especially at this value,
what can you do in that?
You call the next day just to reconfirm, just to make sure and check how they're feeling.
What do you think the flaw is? The flaw is...
and you find a reason to call 2 days later, not to be the overbearing salesman, but maybe do your job. Hey, I just wanted to get a little more data before you came in on this next session. If you could maybe jot me down what you've had, lunch, dinner, breakfast, maybe your whole diet this week. You know, maybe we could put a point of focus on that the next time we meet. But find a reason to call them again right after their first session. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean by follow up, follow through.
Yeah.
To make sure they start that wheel going.
I agree. And I think
it's huge.
You know what the craziest thing, because the way I started to think about training when I changed organization, I guess, but is that there's that real time when like you look at somebody and they decide to give you money to coach them. You feel it more, not that you couldn't feel it obviously because it trickles down, but like when you work with them and you like have this like moment face to face and they're like, I need to get in shape, I want to pay you to help me get in shape, that like you've been hired as an employee. You don't even work for the gym that you work for. You work for them.
Like a contractor.
And they've hired you as a coach.
Right.
And at this point, if you're not showing up, it's not like we're still going to collect in that money, whatever.
Right.
Like you've hired me to coach you now.
It makes you feel bad if you're doing the job right too. It's like
if you're
you don't
a good
want to
person. But if you've hired me
it
as
always
a coach,
made me feel bad.
It starts now.
Yeah.
And if there's like a financial issue that we're working
there's
through,
a fine line.
Whatever, like that's fine. But like you've hired me to coach you now, and like
there's a fine line.
You can't go back from that, or you shouldn't be able to go back from that.
Right.
Like that's just what you do now.
It's a fine line of pushing somebody, and I mean it's weird, right? It's like
that's part of it though too. And people, it's weird because I feel like a lot of trainers, like the perception or I don't know, like an avatar of a trainer is like drill sergeant. And they're like aggressive and they're like going to be overbearing. But I would say like, I don't know. I always talk
best trainer one of the best trainers I've ever had, Preston at LA, is the most didn't show up. Cool.
He will wreck you though.
Cool. He'll wreck you once you get back.
Sees this one
I hope he sees it too. Preston, you're my guy.
I miss you so much.
He was the guy though. Didn't show up? Welcome. But as soon as you came back, he'd call you out. But again, that's the culture I was talking about before, where everybody.
You gotta have it.
You remember how it was?
Yeah.
If Preston and all those trainers I had or you had.
Yep.
when those clients would come in, if somebody had missed their session or something, and one or two other clients that were around that same time slot were there would be a little jibber jabber.
Preston used to just, it was the
best. It was fun.
He was like
fun.
It was
Third
weird
thing.
having other things for Preston though. I pray on all things holy that Preston sees this one day. Hopefully it's like 5 years from now. However, like just randomly.
You're gonna see it tonight.
We'll text to him. Is that so? It's like some of the best trainers I had, and these names won't mean anything to anybody watching probably, but like went from Preston, and who shadowed Preston like for the first couple days, Ben, and then who shadowed Ben for his first couple days, Scott.
Yeah.
And it's like this trickle down
James.
of like just his like his level of like intensity, and like even though he wasn't like crazy about the company that he necessarily worked for, I
had to yell at him to get a uniform on almost every day.
Yeah, but he like he just met his whole day with like this intensity. Like you got there and Preston was like, I don't care if it's 5:30 and you got there at 6. Like Preston was already there. And he was already like ran through like 6 sessions, and he's like intense, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he remember when he gave you like gave him like a
hard nut
as hard as he can.
No,
for somebody like you,
the most
fine. I'm sensitive.
The most memorable thing is when you would show up to it. Say a session was at 6.
Yep.
Or 6:05.
Yep.
The client would walk up at 6:05, and he'd be like, "All right, did you get your warm up? You already hit your 15, 20 minutes right in." And so they're like, "No, we just got here." I'm like, "What?"
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. I love
that. You know
though.
what I'm saying? I love it too.
I love at the level
but
of
see,
intensity.
it takes away from me as the
contagious.
person who sold and promised this product, having to be the person saying, "Hey, trainer X, come on, pick it up a little bit."
Yep.
I don't have to do that at all. Then I can put all my energy into the people. And that's what mattered to me to begin with, is just my connection with the person that came in. Thank God I got the great trainer.
Yeah. Or yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily like a coincidence though. Like you also manage those people, and it's contagious on how you carry yourself. But all right, so that's 2. So
humility,
humility,
follow through.
We got to think of a better word for that. But
follow up.
I know what you're saying.
Follow through.
Like connection of because that's the unique part about the different businesses is you don't actually train anybody, so you have to safely get them to a destination. Whereas like if I
handoff,
that's big. That's just
customer
service. Okay. Bobo making an experience.
The third is fun. Be fun.
Okay.
Be fun. This shit isn't fun. It's hard. It's harder for others than it is for some.
Oh, you mean for the client?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Excuse me, for the client. Be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, some of my best memories, before I even got to the level of VP, some of my best memories, even when I was VP, I did this actually. It's probably not approved.
I don't think they can fire
But do you remember, you probably remember this, I used to get on we had the benches near the racquetball courts that had the wood bottom legs, and I would put sliders underneath the wood bottom legs, and I would make clients push me. I'd stand on the bench and surf the bench as they push me across, and I would be just yelling and screaming.
Yep.
And the whole gym, the whole rack of stair steps stop. Everybody's looking at me, looking at them, and I'm just, it's a great day in LA.
Yep.
Woo! I'm like, move, move, move. And they're dying.
Yep.
They're dying laughing.
Yep.
Half the gym's laughing. But then guess what happens when those people that watched left? Oh, hey, what's your name, man? You were...
Yep.
Oh, I'm Ty. Nice to meet you. Oh, okay, Jim. Well, next time Jim comes in, guess what? Now Jim gets a hug. Now see, all of a sudden, me and Jim got a relationship. Because I was having fun, and the people that were working out were having fun.
Yeah, and I think that even trickles too, because the people that
It's
work for you
addictive.
too. Yeah,
Big time.
Other people around you. Yeah, it's
Biggest
super
example,
contagious.
right? You could go a lot of ways here.
Ben always talks about how much fun it was when you guys worked together.
But he's not lying. You didn't force him to say it.
Probably.
Pretty much any person in that time frame.
For sure.
I would like to think that I've worked with. Period.
You had enough time to make my club more fun by just leaving yours 3 hours a day. And
come there, work out with you.
Yep.
I had Chuck underneath me right when I started. I mean,
And
Chuck was James. I mean, and we all ended up having a great time, and our club was successful.
Yeah,
and we had
chicken or the egg,
and we had a great reputation.
Success.
You know what I mean. We weren't fooling people.
No.
So
you didn't have to. You had good people.
Had great people.
So
you gotta have great people.
Great people.
Honestly, that should probably be number one.
It's the product. It's like if you had like a shitty whiskey, and you
I think great people should actually
tough.
be number one and make it a 4-thing list.
Okay, so we want great people.
Great people has to be number one, actually.
Humility.
Humility comes next because none of those come without having.
Well,
great
this
people.
is a list of the people that are successful.
When they're okay. So
be a good person, I guess. Is
so humility,
one. Humility, follow through,
and
hand off. Yep. Transition of client. Yeah.
And making it fun.
And making it fun.
If you can do those things, you make sales.
Yeah, that's real.
Every time.
Yeah. And as dirty as that sounds, that's
ever been in sales,
important.
if you know sales, if you have to sit across the table from somebody and it's awkward or it's strictly numbers, doesn't feel great. If you get back to the desk and you're laughing, you're carrying on, you're high-fiving, you're knucking, even if they don't, and you tell them, look, you don't have to buy this. But I know for a fact we can change your life. We can do it together. I love you as a person. I love to work with you.
Yep.
This is what we have to offer, and this is who we have to offer. I'd love to have you on the team. They go into that process saying,
it's a done deal.
I don't have to buy. And they don't. You know how many people don't buy, and then they wait for you to turn into a dickhead? And then when I don't, and I still hug them, walk them out, take them to their, whether they spend $1,000 right there or not, whether they might again or they won't, same reaction. And then they come back. Sometimes, I wouldn't say more than not, but they come back.
Definitely not more than that.
And they come back and say, you know what? I slept on it. I thought about it. And a lot of times, based on the way you handled not getting the sale, again, especially people in the same profession, they look for that. They look for that little hook they set out there to see if you're going to turn into that.
Nobody should be fooled by being in a sales.
I wouldn't drop that kind of money on the first. Even if I needed a trainer, I mean, I would need you to train me a few times for me to know that I wanted to invest 12 months and $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 into you.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I'm trying to think of another business that would be what you would really do on the first time you met. Outside of like buying a car, I can't think of something that you sign up for that's like a multiple payments of hundreds of dollars potentially. I can't think of any other thing.
I don't know.
That seems like a crazy. Like, what's not month to month? Cell phone, I would say.
Well,
for most people.
Yeah, and it's like, are you depending on the person? Are you talking about the company? Are you depending on LA Fitness to provide a trainer, or are you training with anything? You know what I mean?
Sure. I can't think of anything that is a payment plan that I have required that I have to outside of my car or my rent.
My wife would get her nails done a lot. She liked the same person at the nail place, You
set that up auto draft?
No. No, it's cash.
Okay. I do got fitness news, so I have fitness news to discuss.
Is there UFC on it?
There's not. So there's only two things, but I thought this was relevant.
Okay.
Have you seen the thing about CrossFit? Have you heard news about CrossFit? What's that?
How it's dead?
Pretty. Yeah, you do know then. Okay. You're aware of what's happening?
Fill me in.
Okay.
How it's dying, right? Like how it's dead.
Yeah, this actually made me take notes. That's how much. No. So this was really bad. There was like a big fallout of, I don't know. So it's June, 10th today? Mid coronavirus quarantine, riots for racial inequality everywhere. So Greg Glassman is the CrossFit CEO.
Stooge.
What's that?
He's a stooge.
I don't know what that means.
Anyway. Fuck boy.
Okay, we'll have to edit that out probably. So he said something to the effect of he had a tweet that made light of both the coronavirus and George Floyd's death. So he said something about an employee leaked a Zoom call that they had going on. He said, quote, "We're not mourning George Floyd." That's one quote. And then the second quote was, Can you tell me why I should mourn him, question mark. And so he also, in some response to a coronavirus tweet, he said something, he made light of it both. So he was getting crushed, obviously.
As he should.
Insensitive, poor timing, poor content, whatever. All the above. So Reebok canceled, or not canceled, so they announced that they're going to discontinue their sponsorship. That's a big deal. Reebok sponsors the CrossFit Games. A lot of money.
Also, it's everything to CrossFit.
Rogue,
number one equipment company for
also
CrossFit,
discontinue sponsorship.
Oh, they're done.
So today, I wrote this down yesterday. So today, Greg Glassman forced to resign, and they put Dave Castro, the guy, if you've ever seen the documentaries, the guy that's like calls out the rules at the beginning. He's like the director of the games. That guy is now the CEO.
So I was listening to Joe Rogan.
So CrossFit, also, last thing that was important from a business perspective, they had 1,250 locations that decided not to renew their partnership. And I feel like I looked it up at one point. I think that it's $3,000 a year to call yourself CrossFit whatever.
Inc.
Yep. Like your business, like if you want to open a CrossFit place, I think it's $3,000 a year.
Just to have the title.
So I didn't do that math, but 3,000 times 1,250 locations, like that's a lot of money. And it's not great for CrossFit as a brand.
No.
So I'm not.
That's not good. And I heard this, I think it was Joe Rogan I was listening to. But yeah, it was. They were making fun of like, there's about to be so many boxes open across the U.S. Like all those box gyms that they made. They're just, all it is a skeleton.
Yep.
A skeleton box. That's
because of this or because of COVID?
Because of CrossFit going down.
Because of this thing? The controversy or?
Everything. Between COVID and CrossFit was already on the down.
Yeah, well,
listen, it was already dying.
True, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was already dying.
I don't know if
it's been dying now.
But so the disaffiliations is not a big deal for the individual businesses because they can just now call themselves something else. They don't have to close. That doesn't mean
but nobody wants to do CrossFit anymore either. That's the thing.
I don't know if that's true.
It's true.
Why do you think that?
The majority do. Because it fucking, I'm going to go rip your shoulders out just to fucking be able to do a WOD. A WOD.
I mean, there's definitely a workout of the day risks, and I'm not a CrossFit
It's the worst.
Practitioner.
Injury risk, it's the worst.
Yeah. So.
Unless you know what you're doing.
Sure.
How many people do you know how to do, how many people do you know that you say, hey, go clean and snatch that?
That's not a real
And they do.
Clean and snatch.
Okay. How about a clean?
Yeah.
All right. How many people you know can do a hang clean into a front squat?
But that's not
with
CrossFit's
good form without
fault.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, because if you shouldn't be doing it if you can't do it. It's like if you go take jujitsu and you don't know how to do jujitsu,
it might not be their fault.
You shouldn't get mad
it might
if
not
you
be
get
their fault.
choked out.
You're right. It's not their fault.
So but the most pertinent people that do it are like,
but they are going out of
first
business.
Responders.
They are going out of business.
HQ might be in trouble.
They're done.
They might be in trouble. I don't know financials on CrossFit.
I mean, COVID has to have killed that.
But those are individual businesses, though. A lot of those will definitely go out of business. But those are individuals. So CrossFit doesn't own those places. They pay a licensing fee, and it's like you're a small business owner. You don't get CrossFit is not running, local CrossFit box. They pay $3,000 to put the name on it, licensing agreement. They probably have a list of like terms you have to uphold. Like you can't just have spinning classes only in a CrossFit studio.
I think it's silly.
Just as general CrossFit? Yeah, maybe. It depends on what you want. Some people need to just wreck themselves and it makes them feel better. I don't know. I respect it.
Yeah.
It's like people that run marathons. Not
to
for
each
me.
his own. I mean, I don't care. Yeah. That would never, ever, ever be the business I would choose to go into, though. Never CrossFit.
From business
A business standpoint, never.
Yeah, it seems niche, but
Not anymore.
definitely not. Well, I don't know. I don't know if
anymore.
you want to be in gym business in general right now. It might be
Damn sure not
tough
CrossFit.
business.
Damn sure not the most close quarter.
Yeah.
Only in a.
Yeah, that's fair. Other health-related story. I just thought this one was funny. Donald Trump's physical results. His results of his physical. You ready for this?
Oh no.
Well,
It's gonna be the same as mine.
Well, I thought it's not. He's tall. I didn't mean that to be rude.
How tall is Donald Trump?
6'3".
No way.
Yeah, 6'3". I didn't know that either.
He's way taller than me.
Yeah. So the only reason that I thought this was relevant because I don't know if you saw. I didn't plan to talk about politics on this, but like Nancy Pelosi called him morbidly obese. So like it was news.
6'3".
So it was news because his physical was scheduled right away.
240.
244. Good, very good guess. So on a BMI chart,
46%.
No, that'd be body fat. That's body fat. So BMI is just a height to weight ratio.
I know what BMI is, asshole.
I said BMI.
Yeah, I know. And I said 46%.
Those are two separate things. But anyways, so BMI is 30.1.
Okay.
Which is clinically the first level of obese. Mm-hmm. So he's not technically morbidly obese like Nancy Pelosi said, but
because he's 6'3".
Yeah, he's tall.
Luckily. I mean, that's what changes
that
whole
thing. He's
thing.
only gained like 4 pounds apparently since being president.
Well, that's what changes it. I mean,
since being president, though.
He'd be 36 and he'd be heavy
Even
risk.
No, moderate risk I thought was high because, like, I mean, think about it, that's in the next 3 to 5 years only. If he's gonna be up for re-election.
Listen,
so there's a moderate risk.
He should have his own scale.
30 and 60% that he has a heart attack within the next 3 to 5 years.
The numbers we're using are the averages of people. That dude is not average of any people. That dude has been on level 1,000 for 30 years. Take it from a person.
More than that.
Take it from somebody who lives on a level 1,000.
It's true.
It's exhausting to the body. The fact that dude's what do you say, 90?
72.
He's 90. So he's still going as hard as he is. That dude is on all types of shit.
Right. I mean, and rightfully so. Like whatever gets him going. Like
son.
I mean, is President of the United States a position that you could
not do drugs?
Well,
not possible.
Yeah, and you say, and I'm not even saying because when you say drugs, people will think like for recreation or try
supplements
to like enjoy the day. Like just
I'm
like
not talking about he's like watching Cheech and Chong, fucking eating fucking Cheetos. I'm talking about like
max.
That dude needs.
How much sleep do you think he gets?
4 hours a night.
I was gonna say 4. Like I think you probably have to work 18. Probably,
4 tops.
Just to even get through.
Listen, with vitamins, 18 ain't nothing. I understand 4. I've been there. I've done 4. 4's doable.
4 for 4 years straight.
4's rough.
Would be
4
tough.
was listen. I didn't even do it for 4 years straight. I mean, I did it for probably, honestly, maybe a year and a half, where I really did like a 4-hour thing. That midpoint where I was a VP, where I was like really starting to become good, but I was also starting to drink a lot, and I was having a bad mix of the small cities.
Yep. Probably take
4 hours.
A lot of travel
real.
too. A lot of travel
2.5, 3 hours a day.
Well, also when you went to Memphis.
On top of shit, yeah, that was way worse. A lot. I mean, it's a lot. So you don't sleep. And, like I said, I would still live the same kind of lifestyle. It's hard to do.
Glass is empty. I feel like that's all we got on fitness.
Glass is empty.
Wine, whiskey, wellness, episode 1. Done deal. Sir.
My man.